Hi everybody, welcome to the Wandering Poet Cafe. This is a new YouTube channel I've started to do poetry readings and lessons, and today we are going to get into the first lesson about haiku. This is a lesson designed for high school students and undergrads, and you could even push it to lower ages with some simple modifications. So we start out here with three haiku by Matsuo Basho, who is the world's most famous haiku poet from Japan. He wrote Haibin and Haiku, The Narrow Road to the Deep North was his, one of the masterpieces of Japanese literature. So here we have three of his haiku, starting with the most famous. At the old stone pond, a frog plunges, the sound of water. Next one, Culture's Beginnings. In the heart of the country, a rice planting song. And finally, one of my personal favorites, Weather-beaten bones, I'll leave your heart exposed to cold, piercing winds. It's always best to read poetry aloud. So once you do that, or maybe have some students do that, then it's time to go through the elements of haiku. So this is what makes up the art form. Haiku consists of 3 lines in a 5-7-5 syllabic pattern. Most people know this. Right now, in addition to that, though, there is a turn following the first or second line. It's a break or a turn, and it is often used to juxtapose a second image against the first or to comment upon the other lines. So, for example, in the second haiku on the first slide here, we had Culture's Beginnings. That's the first line, and it provides a comment upon and a way to interpret the image that follows, which is in the heart of the country, a rice planting song. Right? So you could imagine maybe someone is in the country, they see people planting rice, singing a song, and this notion flashes in the mind that this is how culture, art, music, etc. began, was through this kind of activity. Then you can get into a whole discussion about agriculture, the beginnings of civilization, all that kind of stuff. Right? But so that's the example of the line break, where the first line sets up the image that is to follow. Another example, if you go back to that first most famous haiku of Basho's, at the old stone pond, a frog plunges, the sound of water. Right? There's a break between at the first 2 lines. You have a continuous image. At a pond, a frog plunging, and then the final line, the sound of water. It becomes sort of a commentary on the first 2 lines and basically takes this frog plunge into water and turns it into a little bit more of a metaphysical type experience. And that, you can then get into a whole discussion about Zen and the aha moment and all that stuff. But so once again, an example of how there's a break or a turn after either the first or the second line of the haiku. In that case, it's the second line. And then, in addition to the formal rules, the other thing about haiku traditionally is that they pay close attention to aspects of nature in an attempt to, quote unquote, see things anew. And the main themes in haiku traditionally were nature and love. Now, in any lesson on poetry, it's great to use the poem as an opportunity to explore some of the figurative language or rhetorical devices that are so common in poetry. And in the case of haiku, imagery is the most prominent piece of rhetorical language or device used. So imagery, of course, is visually descriptive or figurative language. In other words, it's the sum total of sensory details used in a literary work. It describes and evokes. Anything that engages your sense of touch, taste, seeing, hearing, smelling, or feeling, that's imagery. It's just about the most basic rhetorical device there is, and it's what powers haiku. So now we get to the opportunity to give an assignment. All right, and here's the directions for this assignment. Get acquainted with imagery by writing a haiku in 5-7-5 format. So that also gives them the opportunity to practice adhering to the formal rules of this very basic, simple form of poetry, which can be a great jumping off point for an entire unit on poetry, which actually this lesson is. I'll get a little bit more on that later. And to finish up the directions here, this poem should arise from a close observation of the world around you. Nature is full of opportunities, but you can do it at home too if you like. So this gives students the chance to use their powers of perception, observation, their senses, to try to find a haiku in their environment around them, apply imagery, and apply the formal rules of the 5-7-5 and the line break or the turn. Okay, so that's the assignment, and you can scale that up or down as you please. And then here we have a fun extension activity. So this is a haiku fact. The most widely read journals devoted to haiku in the English-speaking world today are called Frog Pond and Modern Haiku. Frog Pond prints haiku with traditional form and themes of nature and love, whereas modern haiku, as the name suggests, challenges the traditional norms of structure and subject matter, often depicting memorable moments from modern society. Check them out for two differing types of haiku, both being written and published by poets today. Maybe you could be next. And so this could be just an opportunity for students to do some reading to learn more, or you can add another assignment onto this. If there's discussion boards on the websites for these journals, you could have students leave a comment. You could have them write a poem, a haiku, and submit to one of these journals, see if they could get published. And so let me run you through here quickly some examples from each of these publications. This is Modern Haiku here. This is the homepage on their current 2024 website. You can see at the top, Modern Haiku, an independent journal of haiku and haiku studies. And here we can see just a few examples. So up top, voicemail, the immediacy of winter rain, right? So that's kind of the idea of the modern haiku, themes from the modern world like voicemail. A few below, high school trophy case, her maiden name. So it's not, those traditional nature love themes necessarily, but dealing with elements of the natural world, still finding that moment of perception that animates haiku. And then we come over to Frog Pond. This is their upcoming issue for the fall season, and they, like I said, publish haiku with more traditional nature themes. And actually, I myself have gotten 2 haiku published from them over the years, so let me show you those. This is from the autumn 2012 issue, already a dozen years ago. And here's my haiku up at the top. Planting Festival, spinning out their ruffled skirts, our marigold women. That's something I wrote in the garden, was growing lots of marigolds. My wife was with me in the garden, and that was an image and idea that came to me. And then here's the other one I got published from the next year, 2013. This is one of my favorite haiku that I ever wrote. Summertime, a broadening stream settles and deepens. Right, so kind of like that Culture's Beginnings poem by Basho, where taking a singular image and kind of seeing it as emblematic of this larger thing, in this case, the season of summertime. If you did enjoy this lesson, I've got a link below in the description to Teachers Pay Teachers, where I've got printouts for it as part of an entire unit on different types of poetry, English sonnets, Italian villanelles, French rondus, all that type of stuff. So if you want to check that out, please do. And also, if you want to see more poetry lessons or poetry readings, so far I've got the first part of Basho's The Narrow Road to the Deep North up on the channel, and also the first 10 sections of Walt Whitman's Song of Myself. And every week I'll be putting up more poetry readings, more poetry lessons. So if you want to follow along, please give a subscribe so you can do that. And I'd love to hear any comments you have as well below, and hope to see you next time.